Hi, I'm Sarah Humke, and I'm the head of R&D for Wild Interiors. Today we're going to talk about Staghorn Ferns. Now, there's a lot of confusion and a lot of people get really worried about Staghorn Ferns when really they're one of the easiest plants to grow, especially one of the ferns. So, the thing that tends to cause a lot of concern among new plant parents is what is called the basal frond. It's also sometimes called a shield. So what a basal frond is simply a leaf. It's called a sterile leaf, which doesn't mean you should do an operation on it. It means that it won't produce any spores. But it's a sterile leaf and it forms at the base of the plant. Now, these guys normally live in trees. Think about that. They live like this, not like this. So these shields help to protect the root system from anything from the outside, and it also helps to collect water and nutrients by way of rotting plant material that are falling from the tops of the trees. So as you can see, the basal fronds turn out green, just like a regular leaf. However, they will start to turn brown. And this is not a cause for concern. This is what they do in nature. It's part of the protective process. And here you can see one that's even further along and turning brown. Another thing with the Staghorn ferns is that some people see this fuzziness on the leaves and think that they need to wipe it off. Don't do that. The fuzziness helps keep transpiration down to a minimum. It helps keep water at the leaf surface, like water in gaseous form rather than liquid form, which slows its need for water. These guys actually need about the least amount of water of all the ferns because they live in trees. They get water only when it rains, unlike a lot of ferns that live in very boggy, marshy areas that are sitting in water all day. So these guys can take a little drought. In fact, they prefer to dry out between waterings. Just don't dry them out too much. And if you want, these guys can actually be taken out of their pots once they get to a decent size. These guys are still babies, so they need a little more time in the pot. But by the time that these guys would be ready to ship, they could actually probably be mounted, and you would simply take them out of the pot, get some of the soil away from it, and find an appropriate board or log to, well, essentially tie them to, using the basal fronds as a securing base. The roots will then adhere to it, or what sometimes happens is that whatever you've tied them to the log or piece of wood with will get covered by more of these basal fronds as it gets larger and larger. These are a fantastic houseplant, and they do well almost anywhere.